everyone, and welcome to the Financial Dads Podcast. My name is Paul Fagan, and I'm here with Jody Fisher. Hey, Jody.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Not too bad. Doing okay. In short, this podcast is for all the dads out there who struggle with life's topics as they are related to family and finances. Our hope is we can provide our thoughts, successes, and mistakes and share them with all of you. This is our second podcast, and I hope over time the quality of each of these podcasts will improve. So hopefully the 10th one will be much better and smoother than the first one. So thank you for listening. Jody, anything to add?
No, we're excited to jump in, and we got a good topic this week.
Yes. I think our hot topic that we're going to discuss is going to be college savings, right? So how much does one have to save in order to send your kid or kids to school, right? So
too much.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. It really has become frightening. It has become way too much money, right? I remember when I went to school, I went the old route. My parents got a private school loan through Fordham. Coincidentally, that's where Jody and I met. So I had this private school loan, and I think my tuition was locked in for a 4-year rate of $12,500 a year. And I thought that was pretty immense back then. And now Fordham, last check was with room and board, is upwards of $78,000. So it's crazy. Over this 25-year period, the cost of college has skyrocketed. And at the end of the day, my situation was I had this school loan for a very long time, and I kept paying. It was $373 a month. That's what I remember. I think it was $373.42. I paid every month. Every month.
Isn't it funny how you remember that right down to the cent?
Every month. Yeah, I paid that miserable.
It's like it gets that and your home phone number growing up are like the two things that just get branded on your brain. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was incredible, right? So I went through this whole thing, and finally I got to a point after many years of working, and I was working at a bank at the time, and I got a small bonus, and I said, you know what, I'm going to pay the rest of this school loan off because I'm sick and tired of seeing this coupon book, and that where I'm dating myself now. I had a coupon book, and I used to have to mail it in. That's how I used to pay it back then. Back in our day. That's right.
Use coupon books.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And I remember, long story short, sending that, calling for the payoff, and the payoff was exorbitantly more than what it was supposed to be, and I couldn't figure it out. But a good friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, he'll remain nameless, helped me and got the loan people on the call and berated them into researching and fixing this issue. And it turned out they resold my loan 3 times, and on the second sale, accidentally, they increased the percentage rate per month by 1 percentage point. So it's amazing. Just back office loan management came into play, and they screwed my loan up. But at the end of the day, it all worked out.
Amazing. You got to remember these people. We put our trust in these institutions, and you got to remember that these are just regular people. I'm not cutting them any slack here, but these are like just regular people who are just as stupid as anybody else, and make mistakes, and you got to check these people on their math and on their decisions. You really need to be your own best advocate.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head, because that happens with mortgage servicing, that happens with loan servicing, personal loan servicing, car loan servicing. That's why, that's the hidden pitfall of debt is you have people behind the scenes and systems behind the scenes that are not looking out in your best interest and are capable of making mistakes. And so at the end of the day, though, that's probably a topic for another podcast. But at the end of the day, I sent the check. They sent me my payoff letter. I still have that letter. I'm surprised I didn't frame it, but I still have it in a very safe place.
Short story is you hit it the nail right on the head, Paul. Education is exorbitantly expensive in this country. I personally think unnecessarily so. I'm not downing education, but I think the price of education is just nuts. I think it's an enormous barrier to a lot of people who want to go to college. And I think it's brought up a topic that, just pivoting away from the financial discussion of it for a moment, makes people have to sit back and take a good hard look at the answer to the question, why am I going to college? Because I mean, even as late as, you and I going to college, 20, 25 years ago, it was kind of like that mentality of like, well, you go to college. Everybody goes to college. You should go to college because that's the way you're going to get a good job. And by and large, that might be similar today, but not so much. I think there are plenty of good paying jobs out there that don't involve college, a liberal arts college at all. There might be specialty education and all, but that's what I'd be interested in be talking about is the answer to the question, why are you going to college? Because if you're going to take out loans or spend all that money, you better be damn sure that when you come out the other end, you're going to be able to earn that money back and then some.
Yeah, no, those are all great points. I mean, I think for me, and I did work my way through college as well. I had a job off campus, and I was grateful for that job. My wife, with her situation, we had a school loan that when we got married was still on the books, so to speak, and we slayed that dragon as fast as possible to get rid of that loan. I became deathly scared of these loans, just seeing how, and we're seeing it today, right? Kids working in Starbucks that took these exorbitant loans that can't pay them back, and there's no chance of them paying them back anytime soon. So they're foregoing everything. They're foregoing life, essentially. They're foregoing buying a house or getting married in some cases. It's really kind of an interesting dynamic, which kind of leads back to my own kids, right? So for my kids, I fell off the track a little bit in the past year or two, but I tried to put a certain fixed amount away for each kid every year since they were born, right? So I opened the 529 plans and started from there. And the plans have done okay, but of course with these markets, one never knows. My son may, when he needs the money, will it be there, right? Will we go through another catastrophic downturn in the markets and his savings goes to nil? But I could tell you and I could assure you, the money that I'm putting every year into these college funds, into 529 plan, is not nearly enough to what they would need. It really isn't. And I know there's families out there that don't put any money away, and that's fine too. Everyone has a different philosophy on this. And so for me, I try to put as much as possible that I can. And at the end of the day, I put as much as humanly possible, not to wreck our household and wreck my own retirement, my wife's retirement. And then we're going to just try to figure it out when we get there, which I know is not the best answer, but that's our current answer. So if we have to use the 529 plan plus savings plus some other items, like maybe using some of the IRA money or selling the house, I don't know what it's going to be. Or maybe the dreaded school loan. I just don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. But honestly, I only have 2 or 3 years away before I have to make that decision with my son, and then my daughter will be 6 years behind him. So we'll have to figure that out. So Jody, what's your current situation with your kids and college savings?
Well, it's something pretty similar. We've started plans for them. We have 529s for them. And then we have a savings account for them, which is kind of like a catch-all, put money away every week kind of thing. And then we get to the end of the year and take a look at that. When we use that, we dip into that savings account throughout the year for everything from, baseball signups to, new sneakers when they need new sneakers and all that kind of other kid stuff. And that's how we fund sort of the recurring things that we're going to need for them. And then at the end of the year, we look at that account and we say, okay, how much can we comfortably grab from that account and transfer over to an ESA to grab the tax deduction and to put that money away and let that grow. I'll say that I have not been impressed at all with the growth on the ESA in my kids' accounts. We use the New York State managed ESA account through JP Morgan Chase, and it all but blows, quite frankly. Yeah, I mean, you put money in there, and it's like, oh, great, you're saving for your kids' college, and it's like I might as well just stuff it under the mattress. And that's not necessarily so much to bang on that one bank as it is to bang on all banks. I think all banks just pretty much kind of stink. It's a place to stash your money. It's a place to deposit your check every week, and pay your bills out of. Other than that, you just kind of you might as well work your envelope system.
Yeah, absolutely. Same experience. I think the accounts I have for my kids where we put kind of money coming in from a holiday or a relative doesn't do anything. It just doesn't move, which is sad. When I was a kid, I had a paper out. So I've been working since like 12 years old, right? I had my paper. I used to throw papers. Used to make 50 to $55 a week, and most of it went in the bank. My brother inherited that route, and most of that money went to the local hobby shop for remote control cars and all kinds of stuff. So, but I used to put my money away, and that's another topic for a different podcast. But
yeah, I do think, like, jump in there though quickly. It goes back to my thing that I always like to talk about, which is being intentional with your money. And you use the phrase, "Well, we'll figure it out when we get there," and we're kind of in the same boat with our kids. We're saving a little bit. We're certainly not saving enough. We know we're not saving enough just looking at the cost of college. But it's sort of that, on the one hand, better than nothing kind of an approach.
Absolutely.
And on the other hand, you look at it and you say, okay, that's the first step in the right direction. Okay, being intentional with your money, budgeting out everything in your household, figuring out how much every week or every paycheck or whatever it is for you that you can manage to put aside, put that money aside, and then take the next step and say, okay, how do I improve on that? How do I make that better? And I think if you can do that, not only with your kids' college savings, but with anything that's in your budget, when you're trying to save for something, or you have an expense coming up that you need to have a bunch of money for, I think it's essential that you do that, because if you don't do that, it's just gonna be like a car swerving around an icy road, and you're just gonna try to keep from crashing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said, we talked about this on the last podcast. I take a different approach. You go kind of the micro level. I go at the macro level. And in fact, it prompted me to dust off, because I was remiss in not maintaining my family dashboard for a little while. And I visited this past week, and I found something in there that I said, oh, I got to take care of that. I forgot. I left one job, and I had a 401k with my old job, and I needed to make sure that got transferred over to my IRA account. It was just kind of sitting there collecting fees. Like, it was just getting drained of fees because I no longer worked for that firm. And so it is helpful. And I wish I had the rigor to kind of dive in and at the micro level. But I think we're both the same in the fact that we want to watch our money as carefully as we can, or at least to our satisfaction, to make sure we're just watching where things are going, which I think is important. And I think, one of the things that, that continues to come up in my mind is how much do I have to save for college, right? How much, I guess ideally, I would love to pay for the education for both kids, all 4 years, at least give them 4 years of education if I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. But that was my goal when I started having kids, was because I had to take out school loans and work my way through. I wanted to give my kids the advantage of not having to worry about those first 4 years, right? Now, graduate school, master's degree, doctorates, law school, medical school, all those things, quite frankly, are going to be beyond me, and that's where the kids are going to have to kick in. Unless something drastically changes, I don't think I'd be able to significantly help in those endeavors. But for a 4-year education, my hope was that I'd be able to pay in full. But that dream is quickly fading away. So I'm focused on how much do I have to save, and I'm sticking to my guns in terms of my number every year that I can put away, with the realization that when the kids are of age and they're going to school, then I know I'm going back to figuring it out then. But I'm going to have to look at these different avenues, including, is there a possibility that the kids can, get some sort of scholarship or some sort of break at the school? And those are the kind of things that I'd like to investigate. What are your thoughts on terms of how much does one save? What should people be saving in terms of putting their kids through school?
So I think that the short answer, and maybe not a really terrific answer, is you got to save as much as you can, right?
Yep.
But the other thing I think people need to really look into, because people don't think of this, they think of it in the abstract, but not in the in the intentional is financial aid, both government loans, state and federal, as well as programs at individual institutions. You know, there's scholarship money that sits around at these colleges that never gets used.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked for a couple of different colleges, had them as clients. The financial aid offices have this money, and it's not that they're hiding it. They just don't have anyone applying for it. They don't have anyone use it. And I think a simple phone call to a financial aid office at the college, you know, that you're going to be going to, is a huge investment. Looking on the website, seeing what's available, you know, and it comes in, you know, $1,000 here and $1,000 there and $1,500 there, but you can combine all these things. Also, not-for-profit institutions, you know, foundations and things, give away tons of money. And I had a foundation as a client recently too that had educational scholarships for kids. They said they had one scholarship was worth $40,000 over 4 years. It had gone unclaimed for 5 years.
Wow, that's pretty telling.
You're talking about $40,000. Yeah, they give away $40,000 every year to one student to use over the course of years. So you're talking about over 5 years. You're talking about $200,000 just sitting there, waiting to be spent on tuition. So you really got to, in addition to saving, you really got to be smart, and you got to scour the web. You got to make phone calls. And look, it's easier than ever to get all this information, right? Scour the web, make phone calls, you know, call a financial aid office. Hey, what kind of scholarships do you have? You know, and don't be looking for the, you know, don't be looking for the big one, you know, like the one that's going to take you all the way through. Get $1,000 and $1,000 and $1,000 and $1,500, and you turn around and maybe you got a year paid for.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, right? I mean, and I think you're right on track with my thinking as well. With my son, you know, and my daughter, thinking about, you know, what colleges they want to pick and picking the right school, right, for the right price. And what I've talked to other parents who have kids now that are in college, I'm hearing that in some cases, I'm not sure how true this is, but if a kid is looking at 2 or 3 different colleges, you can go back to the college of his or her choice and talk to the bursar office, right? Talk to them, talk to the administration, and say, listen, my kid wants to go here. And almost like the advertised number is the sticker price. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it doesn't hurt to have a conversation to say, hey, my kid really wants to go to your school. There's 2 other schools that are, you know, $10,000 a year cheaper. What can you help us, right? And in some cases, they've been able to help. In other cases, no, right? Depends on the school. But in other cases, they've been able to help, right? So for me, it comes down to, you know, like you're saying is, and I think we're both saying the same thing, is picking the right school, getting, you know, and figuring out what you want to do and being intentional with your money and all those pieces all come into play, right? And scholarships, those are key, right? Whether they're big or small, they all add up and they're all money at the end of the day. So what are your feelings on school loans, Jody? I know for me, I'm scared of them, just like I was scared of my mortgage. I'm scared of the dreaded school loan, right? But it might be a necessary evil, and I might have to contend with that dragon once again when it comes up. But what are your thoughts on school loans?
I think a loan is just like any piece of debt. It's like a credit card, right? You don't want it. Now, the difference with a school loan is, okay, if I'm going to take the school loan, ask yourself the question, how am I going to make this money back? And how am I going to make it back, you know, 5-fold, 6-fold, 10-fold, whatever that is. You know, don't take a student loan for $50,000 to get a $15,000 a year job, right? That's just dumb.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ask yourself the question, why am I taking this loan, and how is it going to propel me forward? If you take, you know, by the same token, if you take $50,000 in student loans and you're going to graduate knowing that you at least have the potential, the opportunity to get a job that's making you $100,000 a year right out of the gate, well, then bang, you should be able to pay that student loan back in 5 years. There's no excuse. So that you got to do the math. You got to get down to the micro level and do the math and understand why you're taking on the debt, understand how that's going to be gassing your tank for your financial future, and then make sure that when you get out and you get that job, your first order of business right after food and a roof over your head is paying off that loan, getting rid of that as fast as possible. Because otherwise it's just going to hang out. I mean, you described it about, the mistake that happened with the servicing on your loan and just the interest payments alone. I mean, the interest payments will kill you. The interest payments will double the debt on any loan. It'll double it. In terms of the amount that you pay back and the time that it takes to pay it back. Don't underestimate the quicksand that a student loan is. I'm not saying don't take them, but be smart about taking them.
Absolutely. And loans, to add, they're not bankruptable. School loans in general, for the most part, are not bankruptable, right? So there's no way out of a school loan, right? Once you take it, it's yours. And that's another thing for parents and kids alike to be focused on. And it beyond the burden of debt, it could cause distress in the family, right? You have maybe the parent and the child have a shared responsibility to pay the loan. Well, whose name is the loan in, right? So let's say it's in the kids, and the parents hit a tough break where they can't pay, and then the kids are, not as in tune with what happened. Like, there's so many things that can happen when it comes to school loan and the mixing and matching of debt between parents and kids. And yeah, in general, I think the general rule of thumb and what we've been talking about all of this today is, picking the right school at the right price, looking for those scholarships to make sure that you tap all resources available in terms of additional funding, right? Save as much as you can while the kid is young, and start that saving early into a 529 plan to see if you can get some growth out of that money, but don't expect gangbusters out of that growth. But you hope that you get some level of return when you go to use the money, and kind of focus on those pieces. So I think that this was a great topic to kind of explore, and I think there's probably subtopics to kind of talk about on future podcasts. So at the end of the day, there's so much to talk about with college funding. I don't think we could fit it all into one podcast, but this was a great show today. And Jody, I thoroughly enjoyed our discussion today, and personally looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, these are always good, Paul. Looking forward to the next one for sure.
Cool. And thanks, everyone, for subscribing and downloading to our podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at financialdads@gmail.com. And with that, until next time, be well, and thank you.